Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Christine Blasey Ford, her story was revealed in the Washington Post yesterday. She alleges that back in high school, over 30 years ago, that man, Brett Kavanaugh, accosted her. She was assaulted.
You don't automatically necessarily need to be believed. You have to have evidence and credibility to be believed.
11th hour effort to derail Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination tells you everything you need to know about today's left.
This has all the hallmarks of an 11th hour character assassination.
11th hour attempt to smear, slander, besmirch the character of Judge Kavanaugh.
11th hour political hand grenade.
They wanted this to come out right before the vote. That's why, Tom. Wake up. Just like they did with Justice Thomas.
This was in the early 1980s. It's now 2018. She was 15 years old. She's now 51. There is ground for some suspicion there.
Law enforcement would view it very, very skeptically because of the passage of time.
What took them so long?
Desperate attempt to try last minute to derail Judge Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation.
It's just the timing of it that a lot of Republicans are questioning now.
She had repressed her memory supposedly till 2012, but it was when he was up for the Supreme Court that suddenly the stakes got higher.
So it makes one wonder if this was timed.
It is fair to question the timing of this.
The timing here is very suspect. Why now? Why didn't this come out earlier?
I don't think there's any denying that this is unusual.
Somebody has to know what her reputation was in school. Was she known to be truthful, honorable, honest? Well, how about her former boyfriends? I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, but if you're going to go there, then let's go there.
Never told anybody till 2012, and she just said a group of frat boys were drunk and jumped on top of me for a few seconds in a bed. I think a group of frat boys beat me up a couple times, but he actually was Brett. In fact, I'm not a secret source. Brett Kavanaugh in 1986 came to Dallas, Texas, and I was in high school, and he raped me.
You have to press her on any potential bias.
This whole thing, this is a woman looking for her Anita Hill moment. This is her 15 minutes.
I have no idea if Judge Kavanaugh pushed this woman down on a bed at a high school house party where she wriggled free and ran away or not. What I do know is, in the 35 years since, not one other woman has raised such an allegation. 65 other women have, in fact, now come to his defense.
This is an insult to real assault cases and real sexual harassment. Women who've been victimized should see this for what it is, a pure political attack, late hit on a great man.
Okay, it's a late hit. It's the 11th hour. Why is it the 11th hour? What is the timetable here that we're under? What is the pressure that we're feeling that we have to confirm him Thursday or next Wednesday? Who set this timetable? Why are they saying this? I have no idea. They set these fake timelines like it must happen now. You know why I think they think it must happen now? Because I think they understand that if they started anew with a new nominee, they'd have to go through the whole process again. Yes, the FBI would be asked to vet the new nominee. They would have to go through their process, and then they would have to go through hearings and documents and discovery, and Charles Grassley would have to claim that the documents were protected, and then they'd have to go to the National Archives and make sure that they didn't release and that only the National Crisis Now or whatever right? And then by the time this nominee was brought in front of a new Senate, the Senate will be in Democratic hands. See what I mean there? There's a fake timeline afoot. There is no timeline on a Supreme Court nominee. There is no timeline. This 11th hour, and you know what? They got Mitch McConnell saying these are their talking points. There is no question that these are their talking points.
Now, an accusation of 36-year-old misconduct dating back to high school has been brought forward at the last minute in an irregular manner.
Irregular?
It is an accusation which Judge Kavanaugh has completely and unequivocally denied.
On a phone
It is
call.
an accusation which the ranking member of the Committee of Jurisdiction has known about for at least 6 weeks. Known about for 6 weeks. Yet chose to keep secret until the 11th hour. Secret. Neither she nor any of her Democratic colleagues chose to raise this allegation during the committee staff's bipartisan background calls with the nominee. They did not raise it, even with the name redacted. In the 65 meetings Judge Kavanaugh held with senators before his confirmation hearing, including his private meeting with the ranking member. They did not raise it, even with the name redacted, in 4 days of exhaustive public hearings while Judge Kavanaugh testified under oath. Even though they chose to raise myriad other matters at the hearing, including sometimes a bizarre innuendo.
Can he read?
They did not raise it in the closed session, the proper forum where such an allegation could have been addressed with discretion and sensitivity. They did not raise it in the 1,000+ follow-up questions that senators sent to Judge Kavanaugh in writing. But now, at the 11th hour, with committee votes on schedule, after Democrats have spent weeks and weeks searching for any possible reason that the nomination should be delayed, now they choose to introduce this allegation.
They didn't choose to introduce this allegation, okay? They didn't choose Jack Crap. They didn't know, just like you didn't know. No one knew anything about this allegation except for Senator Dianne Feinstein, who passed it to the FBI to include in his background check. And the FBI cannot do anything on an additional piece of information regarding his background check unless the President of the United States requests that the FBI do so. That is a very important key fact, and it makes so obvious all these lies that the Republicans are telling, obvious lies. God must be laughing at Brett Kavanaugh, though. I mean, just as an aside, I mean, here's a guy who wrote these really sick, prurient sexual questions for Bill Clinton in the Starr investigation back in the day. He wrote questions about positions and dresses and cigars and implements and trash cans and all kinds of really sick stuff, to the point where when the Starr report came out, of course I had to read it. I was covering it that whole year of 1998. It read like an Anne Roquelaure novel. It read like The Taming of Beauty. Do you know what I mean? It was so pornographic, and this was all Brett Kavanaugh's doing. And now that man who said, I can't let Bill Clinton go. I have to ask these sexual questions. We need to know. America needs to know if the president is a pervert. America needs to know about a consensual affair that the president of the United States was having with an intern at the White House who was in love with President Bill Clinton. Oh, America has to know. America has to know. And now this same man has been nominated by a president who endorsed Roy Moore, a pedophile, for the Senate, who has 20 current accusers accusing him of inappropriate groping and sticking his hand up their skirt on airplanes and throwing them down on beds and forcing himself on them. 20 accusers, and appeared on an Access Hollywood tape saying, well, when you're a star, you can do anything. You can grab them by the, and admitting to it. And he's been nominated by that kind of a man. And now all of a sudden there are accusations, credible accusations of sexual assault. I got to tell you, this is just, this is an Alanis Morissette song. It's like rain on your wedding day. It's the free advice that you just can't take. And who would have thought it figured? No, but they're all saying, oh, it's about the timeline. It's about the timeline. This is the 11th hour. Why did she wait so long? Why did she wait so... Listen, she never would have said anything had the pervert not nominated Brett Kavanaugh. And now the senators think that the way to handle this is to have 2 witnesses on Monday. 2 witnesses. Brett Kavanaugh, who is a skilled lawyer. Brett Kavanaugh, who has lied about receiving stolen documents. Brett Kavanaugh, who lied and said that he wasn't involved in the warrantless wiretapping program. Brett Kavanaugh, who lied and said he wasn't involved in the interrogation, the harsh interrogation tactics, also known as torture. Brett Kavanaugh, who was receiving stolen documents from Orrin Hatch's guy, Manny, I keep wanting to say Noriega. That's probably one of Manafort's clients. But it's just so, Manny Miranda, you have all of this lying under oath that went on with Brett Kavanaugh, and the president's saying he's without a spot on his resume. He's so good. He's so good. Now, I got to tell you, the most important thing that you need to know is that the White House must ask the FBI to vet Kavanaugh. Remember, this is not a criminal proceeding. Unfortunately, in this country, the statute of limitations on rape is not very long. And so this is not a criminal proceeding. This is also not a question of whether we want to fire Brett Kavanaugh. This is not a question of whether or not we want to take away his freedom or deprive him of liberty or put him in jail, which would be another way of saying those things. This is not that. There is no standard of criminal proof that's required here. This is a job interview, for God's sake. That's all this is. This is a job interview for one of the biggest freaking jobs that this country has, and that is a lifetime appointment to the highest court in the land. It's a job interview. And if you were going for a job interview, they would check your credit rating. Well, here's another interesting point about Brett Kavanaugh. He had all this debt because he was buying Nationals tickets, and then a year later it was all paid off. I mean, come on. This is a job interview. This isn't about putting him in jail. This isn't about removing him from his job. This is a lesser standard of proof than Les Moonves because they were looking to fire him. This is less of a standard of proof required to remove Charlie Rose or Roger Ailes or Bill O'Reilly, who paid millions of dollars for sexual harassment. What is wrong with people? Why don't you understand? This is just a job interview, and we need more than one witness. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.